Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Super Metroid. I figure at least once in this playthrough it would be a good idea to show off the old Samus fanfare that happens every time you reboot the game. For those unaware, last time we started off the green area of Brinstar with all of the vegetation and made our way through, killed the Spore Spawn, which is a very annoying and monotonous mini-boss. It's mostly a waiting game, and we're making our way towards the first actual Guardian boss of this game. Now, I could tell you who it is, and if you've played the original Metroid, you would know who this is, especially considering the little gaping maw that I had to go through to even get here in the first place. By the way, if you watch the opening intro demo, you will notice a bunch of special little things that happen as a result of just watching and observing the game. And one of the things that you saw me do just now was a morph ball jump. And you notice that I can do that also when I'm just in normal Samus form, without in a morph ball. Now, I'm not going to be doing this too much, but if you so choose, I'm not really good at the timing of this as I am in later games in the Metroid series. I'm actually horrible at it in this. Hang on. I'm sure I can get this right. There we go. If you so choose, you can bomb jump infinitely upwards. You are limited only as high as the ceiling goes. So if it's one of those very long shafts, provided there aren't any obstacles in the way, you can get there. And the music has changed. It's quite a bit more ominous now than it was before. Oh dear. Got some little thorns shooting at me. These are familiar if you have played the NES Metroid. Again, I'm going, and even this is all familiar. The amount of things that are just nods and callbacks to the first game, which is a game that quite a few people played, but, you know, going back in the grand scheme of things, not many people remember. Oh no! It's Kraid! He's the right color this time! In the original game, there were two Kraids. There was a real Kraid and a fake Kraid. Well, this one's the right color. And, I guess that's Kraid dead. Moving on. Oh, no. I guess we can keep going forward. So even though that was the right color this time, this is, the fake Kraid. In the original game, fake Kraid was, slightly discolored. I think it was orange and blue, as opposed to Kraid's more, green and yellow look. Why am I trying to open a super missile door with bombs? Yeah, not a particularly good trade, because this room, again, I mentioned this before, missile recharge stations do not recharge super missiles. The only one that does is Samus' ship, and there's the only one of that in the game. There's no other place they can recharge. So I really just traded one super missile for 37 units of energy. Not a great trade. I'm trying to remember if later games in the Metroid series give you access to super missiles at a missile recharge station. I'm not counting like Metroid Prime, where the super missiles are handled completely differently. Oh dear. So there's these amoeba things from before, but they seem to have been eating a corpse. Hello. I guess I'll pay my respects to whoever or whatever you were. Doesn't matter, you're dead now. So, an eye door. This is how you know you are right in front of a boss room. It's time for the first true boss encounter of this game. Ignore the fact that I'm playing trumpet and pay attention to the fact that Kraid is a big boy, much bigger than that mini Kraid. Now, he's even bigger than he appeared to be originally. So, big old Kraid here. You want to shoot him in the jaw. It's the only place that he's vulnerable. And it is important to note, Kraid has a claw that's very annoying to deal with. Oh dear, I should not be using that. I didn't cancel correctly. Kraid's claw will get in your way of hitting him, unless you shoot him in the face with a charge shot. That'll cause his claw to stop moving. And Kraid is easy. Super missiles are monstrously strong for this point in the game. Again, I don't know why this game gives you them so early, but that's Kraid. Take that! And so it's time for the first major suit upgrade of the game, the Various suit. Now, I think the story is that this was originally supposed to be called the Barrier suit, and Varia was a mistranslation. And now we've got the iconic shoulder pads, the more orange look, orange and red. Samus is looking good. That's the classic Samus colors at this point. Very nice. So, Kraid is dead. That is the first boss of the 4 Guardian statues down. If I was to make my way back there right now, you could actually see that that glowing green gem, where Kraid once was, is going to break. And that's the first 4 keys down. Now, of course, Mini Kraid is here to, I guess, mourn Daddy's demise. I don't know why Mini Kraid respawns. Did Mini Kraid respawn in the original, in Metroid 1? I forget. I think he did. This is just a trash mod, right? It doesn't matter. So now that we have the Various suit, you can sort of get a clue that, hey, I have something special now. Can I perhaps go past that superheated room from before? And the answer is a resounding yes. And this is important because we still can't actually go back to where we started. If you remember, when we got to Red Brinstar, we were just kind of falling down a very long distance. And we don't have any way of getting back up there because there were just enemies that were there and blocking our path and nothing else, no platforms to jump up. Oh dear, facehuggers. Oh dear, facehuggers. That's okay, we can kill them all in one attack. Now again, there's this sense that there's something about this room. And as I mentioned at the start, these dots on the minimap are for points of interest. And this is a point of interest because there's another energy tank. Very nice. Very nice. So important to get as many of these as possible. Although I will say that the Various suit cuts the damage that you take from enemies, I believe, by 50%. So a lot of these early enemies are going to do peanuts compared to what they did to Samus at the start. But as more dangerous areas become available for us to explore, more dangerous enemies will come along with it. And it sort of balances out. You go from Power Suit to Various suit to a third suit. And it really doesn't matter. Because the enemies will scale up in threat level as we continue going forward. But, as I alluded to, superheated areas here in Norfair, no problem. No problem at all. And we've got these much more dangerous versions of side hoppers. I don't remember every enemy name, so I guess it is important to also mention that missile doors, if you so choose, if you want to be speedy, you can use super missiles instead. The reason I wouldn't recommend that is because, again, super missiles are really hard to come by. There's only certain enemies that are programmed to drop it. And in the early parts of the game, when you are only rocking the 1 super missile tank and have a maximum of only 5, there is something down here, but hopefully I remember to come back to it, because I'm not really supposed to know that it's there yet. Although how you're ever supposed to know that it's there, I don't know. But yeah, I would never use super missiles on a pink door, just even though it's faster, unless you really know what you're doing. So the lava is rising up. Fortunately, it only goes so high. It's not like it just fills the room indefinitely. That's for a later room in this game. You forget how treacherous this room actually is if you weren't just trying to speed past it. You can speed past this room quite easily if you just decide to morph ball and tank the enemy damage before the lava really rises up. But now I find my way in the bubble room. Where do I go from here? Well, there's a save room. I might as well use that, right? But yeah, the bubble room is, there's a lot of verticality to this room. It's like a giant box, and unfortunately, even though we have the high jump boots, still can't really progress in it. There are ways that you can progress, of course, as with so many speedrunning tactics. But to the average player who plays this for the very first time, there's really not much here to do besides get these missiles and move on to a part of the game that I really don't go to that much because there's no upgrades there. There's no real point to it if you can circumnavigate it with speedrunning strats. But for the purposes of the playthrough, I will do just that. Here we got one of the many morph ball mazes of this game. Not really a maze, there's only one way to go. Enemies are often hidden, so you're probably going to take unavoidable damage unless you know that they're there. Let's go down. And there's really no other place for me to go but down. Going if isn't this an enemy that yeah, this is just one of those recharging places that's really convenient. Good place to have enemies infinitely spawn. And these most enemy spawn stations like that do have super missiles as a drop, so it's a good place to refill if you're running low on those. Ugh. Lava enemies. And they seem to no-sell a charge shot pretty well, so really the only choice is to, maybe you can super missile them, but that would just be a waste of resources. I would say if this is your first time playing the game, you really do want to nurse your super missile supply because they're so important for the more dangerous enemies in boss rooms. I guess I can go down. Oh no, no I can't, because there's another yellow door. And super missiles cannot open those. We need another resource than yellow to open yellow doors. A gate that I can't open from this side. The game will sometimes hint to you if there's like these little crevices that look sort of out of place and they ruin the synergy of the wall. A lot of times there's hidden passages. Excuse me. A lot of times there's hidden passages that you can go. And I believe, is this another one of those infinitely rising lava rooms? I'm curious. Because if it is, this is the slowest rising lava room I have ever seen in my life. If it's trying to create a sense of urgency, maybe you should raise it a little bit faster than that. There was a game way back in the day from Konami before Konami really started becoming just a greedy pachinko operation. Oh dear, it's like can't even go into a platform enemy properly. But there was a game that they developed called Tiny Toon Adventures, Buster's Hidden Treasure for the Sega Genesis. And I think that had a really good example of a lava room that would rise up and cause some anxiety for you to, oh no, I've got to beat the rising lava. That's a game from my childhood that I remember quite vividly. Another one that I think is a good example of it is Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest, with the underwater lava level, which is, I believe, on the second map of the game. It's one of those Lockjaw's Locker levels. Now, there are things that I could do. There is something that I want beyond this room. Unfortunately, it looks like I can make it, and I can. I can open the gate. It's on the right side, and there are some missiles for me to at least collect. But if I was to be curious, oh dear, spikes. And my high jump boots will not take me far enough, so there's really nowhere to go but down. If you so choose, you can get a running start on the spikes during some of Samus's invincibility frames, and you can clear that jump. I'm not gonna do that. I'm, like I said, going to try and go the quote-unquote intended route of Super Metroid, which is just, there's so many paths that I do not travel in this game that are really only there as more of a beginner-friendly route. I do not think that certain things were intended in this game. One of the speed strats is 100% intended because there's a tutorial on it not too far off in the distant future, which allows you to basically, if the walls are shaped enough, I cannot speak right now. If the walls are shaped in a favorable enough way, you can go as high as the ceiling. So, something to think about. And I guess if you're trying for a more expedited way of collecting enemy pickups, staying crouched and letting them basically die as soon as they touch Samus's arm cannon is a really good way to do it. Here's another one of these new bridges, so just remember, you have a run button, very important. And we're about to get one of the best items in this game. Oh, by the way, there's some missiles hidden here. There's no sign that they're there, it's just something that you have to know is there. I love this item. It really does show off the power of the Super Nintendo, because a lot of times people say, oh, the Sega Genesis is so much faster. The Sonic the Hedgehog games, Sonic can actually start outrunning the screen in places like Chemical Plant Zone. But Samus has some speed of her own, thanks to the speed booster. So if you hold run, and you get onto a favorable enough straightaway, and there's no obstructions in your way, she can be pretty fast in her own right. Now, this is one of those examples of something that's there more for tutorial purposes. I think the lava travels at a speed relative to how quickly you're traveling through the... I don't really know how it works. But that was the first example of showing you how important the speed booster is. And now you think to yourself, okay, so I've got the speed booster. There were all of these rooms with, well, at least 2 rooms. By the way, note for later, there's this green door. How do I get there? I don't know. But there were a bunch of rooms that had doors that would lock behind you. So the obvious question is, what can you do about that? Or there would be gates. And it's like you weren't fast enough to actually progress through. So the answer is, you know, a lot of times you do have to use your brain with this game and think, okay, what can I use this new item for? You have to always think of an item, unless it's just a pickup that expands your health or your ammo supply of certain things. You always have to think in the context of, what can I use, what door, what lock can I use to open? Or what lock does this item function as sort of a key of? And the speed booster functions as the key for one of those rooms, actually several of those rooms. That, yeah, I can make it, no problem. And here, oh, this is actually a very convenient spot, because, bam, I make it through. I destroy the speed blocks, but then there's this mysterious symbol. Once again, we see it. How do I progress past it? It's an item that we don't have yet, so the speed booster doesn't work. Missiles don't work. Super missiles don't work. Bombs don't work. So the game sort of expects you, in some ways, to keep your own map. This is, again, back in those days of when you would make your own paper maps for things. And a lot of old school games took this approach, like the original Legend of Zelda, the original Metroid game. It's a very old school mindset. And this game's map is by no means a crutch that you can rely on to direct you everywhere. I mean, look at this. This whole area is uncharted by the map. I'm uncharting new squares every time I progress forward. Actually, that's not true. I haven't even opened the map station of this. So ignore what I just said. But map stations don't unlock everything visually for you. You still have to be industrious and look around and find things that lead you to the next key for the next lock. And in this case, the ice beam. And the ice beam is very special because when you freeze an enemy, you can stand on it. What does that mean? I wonder. Well, if you freeze an enemy and you can stand on it, that makes it a convenient little platform. And if you go through one of those long vertical shafts, So, this is obviously the portion where the game opens up a lot to you. You can get back up the shaft in Red Brinstar, go back to Green Brinstar. Well, actually, no, you can't because there's a lock there. You can't go back to. But you can go through the rest of Red Brinstar and take your way back to Criteria. And there is something along the way that's going to be very important, something that I may have just seen, that I need to progress further. So again, always sort of keep a mental note or write down paths that are unavailable to you and things that, what do I need to progress? I don't have it yet, but always keep trying to find new ways forward. And a lot of times when you get new items, the game will give you an area to test the new item out. And it'll give you some idea of what the item's utility is, besides just offense. Obviously, most of the items in this game have offensive potential. The ice beam, not so much, because it technically makes Samus's beam weaker. It does add offensive potential to it, but the thing about it is, it also means that the enemies take one more hit. Because if I turn off the ice beam and I kill that Scree, it dies in one shot, whereas if I use the ice beam here, it freezes it and it makes it take 2 shots. Now, of course, there's a convenience associated with being able to freeze the enemy because these previously invincible rippers can be well, they're still invincible. I think I could actually kill them with a super missile. But you kill these rippers and you make your way up. You make your own way. Force your way up past your limits. I'm gonna ignore the face hugger that's in. Actually, you know what? Freeze the little thing. So let's go back to Green Brinstar. And as I was alluding to, I cannot actually progress here. Why is that? Well, as we use the speed booster to go back the way we came. Well, unfortunately, the way is blocked off by one of these one-way doors. God, if only I could shoot through walls. Something to think about for a little bit later. But that's okay. So we can make our way back to Red Brinstar because we have a way we can go now. We can go up. And I guess we could have gone up before. Actually, let me turn off the high jump boots just to make sure. Could we have gone this way before? Nope, couldn't make it. So the only way to go was down. So let's turn the high jump boots back on and make our way up. Up, 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 and up to more rippers. They will show us the way. Who needs platforms when you can make your own, right, Samus? Alright, so this room, I hate this room. I hate rooms like this. I hate these piranha plant enemies that just Ugh. They're so annoying. If you get caught by them, they will start nom-nom-nomming you. And that's not great. That's not great at all. Oh dear. So we have a yellow door. Let's just make our way up. There is a save room here. I won't use it yet. Aha! Super missile door! Show me the way forward. And, oh dear. So these are some pretty gnarly side hoppers, honestly. They take a lot of damage. Super missiles will kill them in one shot, I believe. Oh, wow! A super missile and a regular missile. Unbelievable. Again, those symbols. What does it mean? Where does it come from? Where does it go? Well, I guess we're gonna have to find out later. So, make our way up. Another elevator. And if I'm not mistaken, my way forward is going to be blocked. And this is good, because the game has a great habit of pigeonholing you the direction that you want to go. So yes, indeed, there's a yellow door. I guess we gotta go back down. So why would they take us this way? What is it for? Mystery. I guess it's a good thing that I've got these enemies here, because they are one of the few enemies in Brinstar that can give you super missiles. Wait a second. So even though the way forward on the map may not be illuminated for you, you can use your brain to sort of figure out, hey, you notice a couple squares down and to the left of me. There's another point of interest, but how do I get there? Well, when you've got blocks that look out of the ordinary like this, it's always a good idea to shoot or use your bombs, and you end up finding these enemies. These are Zoros, or Zeros. I've seen them pronounced multiple ways. They are actually the larval form of key hunters, which we saw in Brinstar. You don't actually see them turn into key hunters in this game. It's a bit of Metroid fusion lore. So it's always important with these enemies. If you really, really wanted to, I guess you could shoot them point blank. But I always like to shoot diagonally and at a distance, because I think it's more convenient. Gives you a little bit of a safer platform that you can come back from. Oh! Now that looks certainly familiar. That looks a lot like those blocks. And indeed, power bombs. Now, how you're supposed to know this is here, I really don't know. There is an item in this game that will show you the way through hidden walls, or it'll show you certain things that are hidden without the use of bombs. I can only imagine that particular item is used to sort of go back and backtrack through areas and see all sorts of hidden passages. But if you use bombs, you know that this is here. And what do we get? We get more missiles. So now we know what those blocks that we saw in Norfair are for. They are indeed power bomb blocks. And they're, I believe, there's only one other type of block. Well, actually, I'm trying to wonder if that even qualifies as a block type in this game. I know it does in later games. The final item that you get in this game is like the best sort of weapon utility that you can get. And I don't remember if it specifically is required to deal with special types of blocks, or if I'm just thinking of later games. I think I'm thinking of later games. Yeah, you can really take a number. These things do a number on you. So, if you wanted to, you could see that, hey, these piranha plants are not like the ones that we saw before. Those ones had visible teeth. This does not. So you look down and you see, sure enough, I actually like that. Our first power bomb expansion comes so soon after, but our first super missile expansion we're still waiting on. It's been so long. But power bombs are not the most practical item in the world. They do lag the game up a little bit. And there's 2 directions I can go. I think I will go back to Criteria and get to Samus's ship just so I can refill on everything, get my energy back. I am running a little bit low. And I think that would also be a good spot to stop, because this is starting to get a little bit long in the tooth, about a half hour long. That's okay. We like Super Metroid. I like Super Metroid. We all like Super Metroid. Yeah, these enemies are pretty chunky. This is what I'm saying. You know, even though you got the Various suit, and you have so much more, you take so much less damage from enemies, it's still problematic because they'll just do more damage in retaliation. So it's an arms race between Samus and the entire planet of Zebes. And we use the speed booster to burst through the wall that kept us sort of locked out from when we first got here. And hey, I've done one giant circle around planet Zebes, and now you realize how immaculately designed this map is. Now in Metroid 1, there were a lot of dead ends, a lot of places that you couldn't progress, and you just sort of had to go down hallways, get to a dead end, go down another hallway, and then every now and then. But this game, circles are the name of the game. Big, giant circles. Which is a nice little reference to a particular remix of the Super Metroid theme, which I enjoy quite profusely. So thank you all for joining me. I think this is a good place to stop. We have the speed booster, we have power bombs, we have the ice beam. We've gotten a lot of items from our trip down to Norfair. And this is only the beginning, because now I've got to go back down to Norfair. Actually, I'm going to take a brief little detour into Brinstar. I think that would be better. It'll outfit me with some more stuff. I'll be able to get my first Super Missile expansion. And offensively speaking, I'll be a lot better off if I were to take a detour into Brinstar. No rush. Speedrunning is the name of the game in certain playthroughs. But anyways, thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you all next time.